Hey everybody, Michael Wheels Parise here. Welcome to another episode of How Not to Bomb. Everybody's got a story. Welcome to the show. Before we get going, I do want to let you know the show is sponsored today by Babes Classic Restorations. They're behind us and behind the show, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them later on as well. If you like anything, if you're like me and you love classic cars and that whole look of just having a piece of history, Babes out in Venice, Florida are the people you want to go to. You want to see Cheryl and Alan, and they just do it. You know, they're exactly what they say they do. They bring cars back to life, and they're located at 735 Commerce Drive, Unit 8 in Venice, Florida, 34292. We're going to get into today's show. I'm going to do a little quick intro on who we're going to. This is a very special guest. And, you know, he's been in the business a long time. And, ladies and gentlemen, Ronnie Marmo is our guest today. He's a Brooklyn-born actor, writer, director, and producer with more than 25 years in the entertainment industry. He's appeared in over 60 film and television productions, including Criminal Minds, Lethal Weapon, FBI Most Wanted, and a 150-episode run as Detective Ronnie Domestico on General Hospital. Ronnie is best known for writing and starring in the critically acclaimed one-man show, I'm Not a Comedian, I'm Lenny Bruce, directed by Joe Montaigne, and presented with the support of Lenny Bruce's daughter, Kitty Bruce. That's amazing. The production has toured nationally for hundreds of performances, bringing the groundbreaking comedian story and fight for free speech to audiences across the country. Ronnie's also an artistic director for Theater 68 and has built a career dedicated to fearless storytelling, both on stage and behind the scenes. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring Ronnie Marmo to the stage. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, Ronnie Marmo. There he is. Holy shit! Wow! I mean, this is crazy that you're actually here today. All right, let's hear it from Ronnie.
Hey, Wheels, it's so nice to see you, and thank you for having me on. Honestly, I'm flattered to be a part of this, and as you can see, I don't have a terrible background today. I'm down in Newport Beach, relaxing, trying to enjoy my life for 10 minutes. You know?
At your beach home. How yes. Wonderful. If you notice, I have my LA hat on. My LA turned backwards because I left LA. So I'm not living there anymore. Not because I don't like LA. I love Los Angeles, by the way. And you know, you and I hung out in Los Angeles at Marina Del Rey at the Ritz-Carlton. We were hanging out in the sun one day chilling. And I do love LA, but I did move out of there. So I found this hat just the other day, and it had LA backwards. And I'm like, I got to get the hat.
That's hysterical. That's perfect. Oh, that's so great. Yeah,
isn't that cool?
Amazing.
It's like upside down. How you doing, man?
I'm good. You know, life is great. I'm so blessed. I honestly, the fact that I keep getting to do the show and just keep making a living at this thing. I mean, you know better than anyone. This is show business is never ending. No, it's not. So you grew up in Brooklyn and in Woodbridge, New Jersey, kind of like both areas. I mean, you know, what was the young Marmo like? The young Ronnie before you got into show business, before you got on the stage, and before you got involved in any of what you're doing now? What were you like as a kid growing up in that area? Well, I was born in Brooklyn, lived there till we were 6. Then I moved to Woodbridge, New Jersey, because my parents wanted to give us a better life, which is already hysterical if you saw where I grew up. And then I was back with my grandmother literally every weekend back in Brooklyn. And so little Ronnie was misguided. You know, it was pretty wild. I mean, when I was 6 years old, I remember one of the best memories I have at 6, and one of the most vivid, was I went to a school called St. Agatha's in Brooklyn. It was a Catholic school. And I was such a little pain in the ass in class and always trying to make everybody laugh that one day the nun literally hung me on a hook on the wall by my shirt right next to Jesus.
God.
And I remember that. And you know, and I went like this, and I did one of these, and then the whole class laughed, and that's when I knew I wanted to be an actor. That's actually not true, but that part is. And my mother came in and flipped out, and so I was always in trouble. My mother walked me on a leash, literally on a leash, because I was an animal.
News are
And
everywhere. Couldn't stop you.
she would like tie me to the stoop so I could play with my friends because at 5 years old, I was running into the street. I was just out of control. So, but look, I was I didn't know what the heck I was gonna do, and when I finally got to Jersey, I felt like an outcast because everybody else was like, I moved there in kindergarten. I remember showing up with my Converse sneakers, my jeans with the thick knee pads. Remember those? White
Yeah.
T-shirt, brown leather jacket. I thought I was Fonzie.
I remember the
And
jeans. Remember those jeans? You can actually buy them back in the day, and they can stand up. They were so
yeah, that's
hard as a
basically
rock.
yeah.
Just like,
And I remember all the kids. I remember this vividly in kindergarten. I remember all the kids hanging on their mom's legs, crying, going into school, and I was like, "Hey, Ma, I'll see you after school." I was just a little. I was a little.
you were wild.
Wild, to say the
And
least.
and you were from being from Brooklyn and moving to Woodbridge, New Jersey from Brooklyn. Back then, you didn't have a lot of people from Brooklyn moving to Jersey, so you were like a novelty to them at that point. Now everybody's
Totally.
moving to Jersey. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I always felt like I was like they looked at me like I stepped out of a movie. You know what I mean?
Right,
They're like,
right.
What's this guy? Who's this kid? And so I feel like that followed me through most of my life, to be honest. It's kind of like people had an expectation of what I should be as opposed
Right.
to who I was,
And what pulled you towards the acting world? When did you realize one day, when did you realize, I'm going to do this, or I want to do this? What pulled you? And when did you realize it could become your life?
It's interesting because during my teenage life, I had no idea. A lot of people don't know this, but since you're a dear friend, I figure this is a tell-all. A lot of people don't know, but I dropped out of school in 8th grade. I never even went to
Wow.
high school. Yeah, I finished 8th grade, and then I was like, I'm too busy. I got shit to do. I can't go to high school. I was out of my mind. And I really didn't know what I was going to do with myself. And I remember seeing this movie called The Pope of Greenwich Village, which was one of my favorite films growing up.
Mine too.
And I remember seeing Eric Roberts and Mickey Rourke in that scene after he got his thumb cut off. And I was so fascinated. I was like staring at it going, I could do that. I think I can do that. I'm like 12 years old. And then I kind of put it away, and I went from job to job throughout my teenage life. And it wasn't until I didn't start acting until I was 24. What happened
Really?
was, my mom and I used to go see theater a lot, local theater. We had a friend who was always in a play. And this guy, Pat Carpenter, he was amazing. He was always in a show. And we would go see community theater, and she would say, look at you, you're so excited, you should consider doing this. I'm like, no, Ma, I can never get in front of those people, And then my mother died at 53, and I was 24. And I remember thinking, I do want to do that. What the hell am I so afraid of? So I called this guy, Pat, and I said to him, listen, next time you hear about a tryout, I didn't even know it was an audition, but as a sports guy, I was like, if I want to try out for a play,
Yeah.
And I did, and an opportunity came up in community theater, and I auditioned, and Bill Cecilberg gave me my first yes. And I honestly, it's that thing you hear. Like I walked on stage, there was 100 people in the audience, and it was the fall of '95,
Right.
and I fell in love. I was like, oh my
You
God.
knew you were it. This was it. It was
I
gonna
was
be
like,
part
I
of your
know
life.
I'm going to do this the rest of my life. I don't know if anybody's going to give me money, but I know I'm going
Right.
to do it.
Yeah, it's not
And,
always about the money at the beginning, It's not about the money at the
No.
beginning.
The first 3 years, I didn't make anything. Really.
I mean, if it
And-
was about the money, none of us would be doing this because there's no money in anything at the beginning of your career in this world.
You got to get your head examined if you
Yeah.
think this is like the way to go. My daughter, who's now 18, she was, I swear, I don't know where this came from, Wheels, but at 9 years old, one day she looked at me, and I was back and forth to the theater all the time. And she said, hey, Dad. I said, what? She said, can't you find an easier way not to make a living?
Wow.
And I went, and I was like, whoa, out of the mouth of babe. That was so funny. I'm like, how
That
do you
is-
even know that?
I know,
But
it's crazy.
It's a tough racket, man. And I'm
Did you
so
have a
lucky.
mentor though? When you were starting? Did you have a mentor or somebody that you can go to? You felt you could relate to? Were how were you? Are you social in that world?
Yeah, I am. But my real mentorship at the beginning was just surrounding myself with other people who wanted to do what I was doing. It wasn't until I'd say 2000, which was like 5 years later when I got to LA because I was a young actor, where I wrote Joe Montaigne a letter and I sent it to a P.O. box. I didn't know him, and I was just like,
Wow.
yeah, I sent him a letter and I said, Joe, I'm an Italian-American actor. I just got out to LA. I'm so impressed, and I love the way you've navigated your career. I wrote this movie I don't know if there's any way you'd give me a shot, maybe do a little part in my movie. And I sent it to a P.O. box. And a few days later, he called me.
That
He's
was
like,
gracious.
"This is Joe Montaigne." Yeah, he's like,
Wow.
I read your script, and I'd like to have lunch with you. And so we had lunch, and the rest is history. And he's my biggest mentor still.
I love Joe. I think he's fantastic.
He's the best.
You know, I'm a huge, mega fan of Criminal Minds. I've seen every episode 3-4 times every season, and I was very excited. My wife and I was so excited when we knew you were going to be on, and you had like a major, guest starring role in an episode, and we watched it. And I got to tell you, knowing you and hanging out with you backstage in Jersey when we did that for Mike Marino, you were a different person. And I got to know you as a person, in this business, you get to know people and who they are. And so when you see them on the screen, you don't really buy into it because you know them.
Yeah.
I totally bought into your character. And I completely forgot that I even knew you. I mean, I knew that I knew you, but I didn't like know it. I didn't see anything other than the character. And it was fantastic.
That's the biggest compliment you could give me because, I'm not really a werewolf, but I acted like one for that episode. I was.
Well, you were, and I watched them and there were parts of me that didn't like you in there, and I'm like, when you sold the character, when you don't like something in the character, I'm like, fucking asshole. You say things, you're like, he sold the fucking part. He actually sold it to me.
Thank you, pal. Thank you. That means a lot. I had a great time. I was the unsub, and for those who don't remember, it was the episode was Bad Moon on the Rise. It was season 13, and it was about a guy who was trying to clean up the park by eating people in Central Park.
I mean, what a villain.
Right. Yeah. I was villain, and then I played him at the end, kind of sympathetic, and I remember the producers going, "That's a cool choice," because people felt very conflicted about you at the end, and I was like, "Great." But that was a gift. What an awesome role. Yeah.
And you also got to work with your guy there, Joe, and plus, we're going to get into that later. He's also been a very big part of your life.
Well, what's crazy? He wasn't. We didn't get to do any scenes together.
No, but to be just being on set, right? Was he there? Yeah.
Yeah, he came to watch me tape. He came to watch me tape when I did it. I mean, he's like a dad to me, quite honestly. Like my wife and I got married a couple of years ago, and he actually got ordained just to marry us.
So he's like it's family. It's family.
He's family.
What do you feel more natural in the world of acting? So you've worked as an actor, you're a writer, a director, a producer, but when you're acting, where do you feel more natural in the role? Are you comedic? Are you into the serious? Are you into the villain roles? Where do you feel it?
It's interesting. It's interesting because I feel like, not to get too like actory on you, but I feel like all those people live inside me, and I feel like it kind of depends where I am in my life and what's happening. I love a good comedy. I think the reason the Lenny Bruce show works so well is because I get to do all of that, all of the above. It's dramatic, it's funny, it's heartbreaking, it's tragic, it's upsetting, it's everything. And so I think that's why I'd like to think that even in the drama, any dramatic roles, I try to bring a little comedy. As my wife says, I'm a complicated person, so maybe that translates into my work.
Well, what made you decide Lenny Bruce story? What made you decide that needed to be told on stage? Like, what gave you that?
Well, 20 years ago, which is crazy to say that, but I just looked in my email. 2005, Charlie Brill, an old school comic, Charlie Brill and Mitzi McCall, who you probably have heard of.
Sure.
They were the opening act on the Beatles, on the Ed Sullivan Show the night the Beatles came. And so they were like, the kids with the hair, why is everybody screaming?
Yeah.
And they were this great Catskills act, and they just had a great career. Charlie brought the script to me. I had lunch with him multiple times, and Charlie said, "Hey, do you know who Lenny was? Lenny Bruce?" And I said, "Well, I'm too young, but I know Carlin and Pryor. I know Lenny's name, but I don't know much." He said, "You remind me of Lenny." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Lenny got me my first agent." He's like, "I got this script. It's called Lenny's Back, and boy, is he pissed." He said, "Why don't you do it?" It's a funny title. He goes, "Why don't you do it, and I'll direct it?" And I said, "Charlie, I can't do it. There's no way. Lenny would be 80 now if he lived. That means all his friends are alive in L.A.
Right.
What if it's terrible?"
Right.
And so long story short, after 2 years, he talked me into it. And how he talked me into it is I told him, because I own a small theater, and I said, "If you do your act with Mitzi for all of our friends one night, I'll do the show. But I want you to dust off your act from 30 years ago and do it, So he did. I did the play. it was a wonderful show. We ran 6 months. I fell in love with Lenny. I got it. Did it again 5 years later for another 6 months. And Lenny's friends would come and they'd sit in the front row and they would cry, Lenny, Lenny, you know. And then after I did it for the second time, I woke up one day and realized that there was much more to the story I wanted to tell. Like, we didn't have the rights to the material. So I would talk about the bits, but not do the bits. Stuff like that. So I wrote my own. It took me 5 years. I took it to Joe Montaigne after 5 years and said, Joe, I've been working on this for 5 years. And I just found something in Lenny that I feel like the country needs his voice now more than ever.
Yeah,
I mean, free
agree.
speech has never been more. I mean, nobody, knows better than you about.
Yeah, I know.
what I'm
Lenny's every comedian's open door, you know.
Yeah, Bill Maher said Lenny planted the seeds and I got the shade. And
Sure.
I'm like, well, that sums it up for all the comics and so right now our country's on fire, and the idea that I'm still doing this play, we opened on June 23rd, 9 years ago. So it's still running for 9
And you get the blessing of Kitty, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if you know, but March 13th, Kitty passed away.
Right. Yeah.
Passed away.
I did know that, yeah.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. But
How old was she, though? She was up there, though. She had to be up.
70.
No? Wow, only
Young.
70.
She was young. She had double knee replacement, and we thought everything went well, and then it was something happened. And,
Wow.
so that was heartbreaking. But yes, to have her endorsement and support, it's like, what else do you really need? I mean,
that's pretty much, you're not going to get any higher than, well, you can't get any higher than that when you have the daughter.
She said to me, it's the best portrayal of my father I've ever seen. And for her to say that, like, of course I care about reviews, but that's the biggest. That's the
only, that's the one that they all count, but, that's like the nod.
Yeah,
that's like Johnny Carson bringing you over to the couch and going, Kimmy, I want to talk to you, That's
what that is. Exactly.
That's what that is.
So,
So when you're doing Lenny, where does Ronnie Marmo end and Lenny Bruce begin when you step on that stage? Where are you in that head trip?
It's interesting because, people ask me that sometimes, and I say 9 years ago, Lenny and I did not agree on everything. Today, I couldn't tell you what those things are because I can't stand on stage and fight for somebody with all my heart every night. And then suddenly, my heart doesn't know that I'm acting. So at some point, it's like I'm having that fight for him. So I feel like we've come together and we've met in the middle somewhere. And I feel like I don't try to do an imitation. I don't yuck it up. I'm just try to be as authentic as I can and fight for the same things he was fighting for, whether that be with the government or his relationship with his daughter or his mom or whatever. I try to finish something Lenny didn't get to. And so today I couldn't tell you where our differences are.
Right. Yeah. So like now with Joe Montaigne is the director of the production.
Director,
correct?
Yep.
And how is it work? How is it working with Joe as being your family member, almost in a sense, to now being the director? Do you agree on a lot of things? Do you buck the system? Are you a cooperative? How are you with Joe?
That's hysterical. Listen, Joe, it's like if I was, the best way I could explain it, it's like if I was a priest and I was serving mass with the Pope, like that's how I feel about Joe.
Right.
The reason I asked Joe to do it is 2 reasons. One, I needed somebody that I thought had a gentle hand, but also somebody, and he's such a mensch, he's the best. He's so talented.
Very.
But I also needed somebody who I thought would hold me accountable and not let one of my schmucky friends direct it, because then, well, maybe I, not that I phoned it in on purpose, but maybe, but with rehearsal, me and Joe Montaigne 6 hours a day in a dark theater. Just
That's
the
what I'm
two of
saying.
us.
Yeah.
You bring your best. Like you don't take a moment off. And how did it go? It was incredible because I have so much respect for him.
Right.
And there were 2 or 3 things I said, Joe, please, I don't want to do that. Don't make me do that. And then he'd say, okay. And then there were 2 or 3 things I said, Joe, the direction you just gave me is not going to work, Joe. Come on. You want me to go? You want me to? He goes, or you want me to stand at the edge of the stage and not move a muscle and deliver 2 pages? He's like, Ronnie, I'm riveted. Please do it. And so 95% of the stuff he asked me to do, I was all in. 4%, of the other stuff that I was resistant, he was right, and it's
He was
incredible.
right. Okay.
Yeah, and then there's like 1%. He let me talk him out of a couple stupid little things, but
He let you have your way a little bit.
a little bit. But he was the best. I mean, he honestly was, and he was very instrumental in the dramaturgy of it too. Like when I took it to our first rehearsal, we spent the first 2 weeks doing table reads only, and moving some scenes around because I wrote the play as well, and so he was very instrumental, especially the beginning, how I opened the show. It was his idea.
Right, right. And it's interesting because being a comic myself, going on stage, 37 years, night after night after night, doing the act, you have to keep it fresh. How do you keep it fresh for yourself? I mean, it's fresh for the audience who are first seeing it, maybe seeing it again, but how do you keep it fresh, and how do you keep that emotion feel authentic?
First of all, Wheels, nobody's better than you on stage, my friend. Like when I see you, you're like, "Oh, come on, man." I'm just like,
thank you.
You come in and just, I mean, I love what you do.
I appreciate that.
And I can't see it enough. As far as keeping it fresh, here's the truth, and this is not me being like a cool actor. I've done 486 performances of this 85-minute monologue.
That's what I'm saying. That's heavy.
I don't know it yet. Wheels, I don't know it yet.
Wow.
I don't know it. I'm scared to death of this thing. Every night. I don't know if you know, but I start the play dead naked on the toilet. Did you know that? I start dead naked on the toilet. Lights up and there's a dead naked guy in the toilet. And I literally...
You're there on the toilet.
Dead naked on the toilet. That's the first opening image. And then I take the whole first 9-minute scene and just kind of get dressed and back into my prime. And I still have the same healthy fear of this monologue than I did day one. I don't feel like it feels slightly out of reach, and maybe that's why I keep doing it. I feel like, shit, do I know this? Am I going to get through this?
Do you feel that because being on the toilet sets that awkwardness every single time?
I just feel like, I feel like what that provides is just the vulnerability. What I'm saying to the audience, what I'm saying to the audience, whether they get it or not, and most people don't, but once in a while somebody will say it to me. I'm basically saying to the audience, this is all I have. Go on this ride with me. Put your fucking phone away. Just be with me for this 80 minutes, 85 minutes. And I'm giving you everything I have to offer. And so, but it's just such a monster performance in terms of the drama, the comedy. It's big. And so I don't feel like I quite have it yet. And every night I wonder if tonight's the night I'm going to blow it,
So it is refreshing every night. Then it's something
every night
that you still get that adrenaline. Yeah.
Oh, the 3 or 4 nights I did not get it, the 3 or 4 performances, I fell right on my face. When I was like, oh, I got this. Let me go out there. I got this. Boom. Right on my face. Because I didn't have that, that thing you need, as you know, that extra gear to,
sure. Oh, you knew.
Be present, be in the moment, slay the room, make it great,
How do you feel, Ronnie, with the way the audiences are nowadays, and this can go for anything now in the acting world? Everybody's so sensitive. The cancel culture wants to cancel everything. They tried it with me. They tried it with a bunch of people. I stand my ground with that. But how do you feel, even with doing Lenny, but not only that, but in the world of acting itself now? Do you feel like, God, I shouldn't do that, or should I do? I mean, how do you feel about that when you go on stage and you're like, here we go. Somebody could be in the audience that just doesn't like it. And going to go against it.
Yeah. A couple things about that. Like cancel culture, I always say Lenny was the first person canceled ever.
Oh, yeah. Arrested.
Except they arrested him, and ultimately they hounded him until they killed him. Sure. Even though he overdosed, I still think, Phil Spector had a great line. He said, Lenny died of an overdose of the police. And I get that.
Yeah, I get it.
But for me, cancel culture, I had so many individuals try to talk me out of doing the show, going, oh, you can't do it. I go, not only do I want to do the show, I want to do it at colleges where people are like, are you nuts? You're going to get canceled. I go, listen, if me telling the truth about this moment in history, if you don't like what I'm saying, don't buy a ticket. Do people walk out of the show? Once in a while. Yeah, once in a while I'll see somebody going up the exit, and if I'm really in the mood and it's in the right moment, I'll try to follow them out with the microphone. I drive people crazy.
That's insane.
No, It's insane. People are
Well, it's
offended.
insane to me because they're offended by the production. This is a show. This is like walking out of a movie because you don't agree with the movie. You're not watching the, it makes no sense.
One kid, this young kid, this millennial, said he couldn't understand that I was not Lenny Bruce.
Right. Well, is that a compliment?
No. This is well, thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
but this is I'm an actor. I created this. This is a person who was in history, a very important person. And by the way, free speech is always a topic in this country, but
Sure.
now more than ever. I mean,
Oh,
now.
yeah.
So what do I think? I think that cancel culture is starting to sway back in the middle. I do think it wasn't a terrible idea to clean up, not speech, but clean up somebody's, the Epstein, not Epstein, well, him too, but
Him too. Clean him up.
Weinstein.
Yeah,
The
Harvey,
Weinsteins of the world, like clean up this business a little. I think that's a great idea. But in terms of like, you're going to cancel a comic because you don't like their jokes.
Right.
You're going to, it's ludicrous to me. You know that saying, freedom of speech for me, but not for thee,
Yeah.
It's hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And Lenny's voice is needed now more than ever. And so I'm not afraid of it. In fact, if you trying to cancel me leads us to a conversation, then I'm all for it. But if people still buy tickets to the show, I'm technically not canceled. It's like Chappelle when
Correct,
they go,
yeah.
"You're canceled," and he goes, "No, I'm not. I'm going to do it."
Yeah.
And it was like,
Yeah.
"You're not." People.
I canceled the cancel culture. They're not allowed in my show. I have a thing where
Hysterical.
they cannot
I
come
canceled
in.
the cancel culture.
I told them they can't. You have to be at least 35 or older to be in my show. I don't want anybody, and that's the way it works in my show. And they know that coming
I canceled
in.
the cancel culture.
I canceled them. I told them cancel my fucking balls. That's what you can do.
You're the fucking best. I got to say real quick about you, Wheels. Something that I really hold dear to my heart. So for those who don't know, Wheels and I did this pilot together. Mike Marino, both of our dear friends.
Of course, reconstructing Jersey.
Reconstruct Jersey, and Wheels and I got to play like best buddies,
Yeah.
And then him and Marino and I think it was Sunda. Who else was
Sunday
there?
Conquest. Yep.
Yeah, there was a couple of comics.
Yep,
We're
yep.
going to do a show. And people always think I'm a stand-up because I play Lenny, and I'm not a
Yeah.
stand-up. I have too much respect for that
Right.
medium. I've always fantasized about being a stand-up. I'm good with a microphone, but I'm not a stand-up because I'm not unhappy enough. I have a car and a
Right.
place to live. So
Exactly.
I'm kidding. The comics.
You don't fit. You don't fit the profile.
I don't fit. So anyway, they're doing this show, and Marino says, "Hey, Ronnie," and I was on General Hospital at the time. He's like, "Why don't you host the show?" The guy who comes out and says a couple jokes and then introduces the evening.
Right.
And it was in my old hometown, and I was daydreaming about being a stand-up forever. So Wheels and I stayed up the night before, and you helped me write a few minutes of material.
We had some intense conversations, you and I.
Yeah, you helped me a lot because I always
Thank you.
daydreamed about it. And I'm like, I think I'm naturally a slightly funny guy, and I'm a good storyteller, and I'm good with a mic. But to write my own material, to go up and deliver it. And I remember going on stage, and I remember having that fantasy of like, oh my God, here it is. And Wheels, who's, you and Marino, to me, were as good as it gets in this business. And so I do a joke, and I get a huge laugh. And you guys were backstage. I'm not even sure you've even heard this, but you were backstage, and I get a big laugh, and I say to the audience, stop laughing because you don't understand. It's like heroin. I was like, you don't understand. I don't have time in my life for this. Please stop laughing. And they laughed harder. And they fucking laughed harder,
You knew, so something clicked.
I was like, oh my,
Yeah.
I looked out at them. I was like, this feels good.
Yeah.
This fucking feels good. And I was like, I don't have time for it. But you will always be connected to the one night I got to call myself a comic because you helped me write that stuff.
Thank you.
And it was really, I don't know. I think about that and I tell that story a lot. So thank you.
When I first met you, I thought you were in the comedy world. I'm like, well, maybe I just don't know, that he was not. But listen, you're a natural. When you're on stage, you're a natural, and that's what it comes down to: being naturally, authentically you in the world in stand up. And now you're getting to perform one of the greatest stand up performers in our time, night after night after night. And
yeah.
but I think the intensity of being an actor. You've been in 60 films, television productions, and General Hospital. But even the films alone, Where do you feel the challenges the most? Where do you feel like, has there been a role that you played that was very challenging to you or very difficult?
I'm doing it now. It's the Lenny
Is this
show.
the one? Yeah, this is the one?
Yeah, I always say, like, I've been very blessed, and I got to do a couple of episodes of that TV show Ghosts on CBS. I just shot again last week, so they had me back, and I'm really flattered. And I'm doing that kind of work. I'm so lucky. But, like, walking a tightrope with no net is, you know,
Right.
playing these 1,000-seat houses, these pack centers all over the country, and walking out there and starting naked and going, this is what I have.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And then doing this friggin' monologue, this 85-minute monologue. And there have been other really challenging roles, but I think this is the one that still scares me, and that's why I still do it.
So let me ask you this: as an actor, and you've had a long run on General Hospital. You had like a long run with that company.
3 years, 150 episodes.
150 episodes. Did it teach you anything about discipline and consistency? Do you think that was a teaching?
Yes. In fact, you know, you're getting 30 pages a day, and you're getting them the night before. You got to learn 30 pages. You go to work the next day, you get one take.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's crazy.
It actually came into fruition last week. I was in Montreal shooting Ghost, and I went up there. I memorized the scene they had prepared for me, and then literally 10 minutes before we shot, they said they scrapped the whole thing and they rewrote a scene. And they handed it to me, and they go, "You have 10 minutes." I go, "Okay, let's go." And so, and it's that confidence of like knowing that I have this crazy little bit of a photogenic memory.
Yeah,
You know,
you're able to, and you have a bit of an entrepreneurial side of you too. You're running a theater, your own theater, Theater 68, and you're the director of that theater. How does that work, and how are you? What are you doing with that? That's a great project. That's a great thing. I think you're doing.
Well, thank you, pal.
Tell us about that.
Well, it's always weird. I've always had this weird brain. It's always been like 50% art and 50% commerce and business. And so I've been able to see both sides very clearly. And I know that's kind of I'm lucky in that way because a lot of people don't.
We're a lot alike that way. I'm the same way as you there.
I know you are, actually.
Very
I know
much
you are.
relatable there.
I see what you're doing. It's like I could create the art and then go, okay, let me take that hat off and go.
You see it.
Let's sell it.
Yeah, very good. I like
Let's
that.
sell it. And so the Theater 68 came about February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2001. I started a group of actors because I took a couple classes that didn't go well in LA, but I knew that I needed a community of actors to hold each other accountable. So I created this thing called Monday Night Actors Gym, and every Monday night for 26 years we have not missed a Monday.
Wow.
And I go every week. And then in New York, I started the company 15 years ago. And so I have a space in Midtown, and I have a space in NoHo. In NoHo, we have 3 little theaters in a complex.
Wow.
And so it's really a home for people to nurture. And we do a lot of theater, a lot of shows, but we also do a lot of writing assignments, a lot of directing workshops. I try to writing workshops. I try to tell people, like, nobody's calling you or me. It's very rare. That's like lottery stuff. You got to give them a reason to come to you. So I create my own stuff. So I make everybody in the group write, direct, produce. And it's been going on 26 years in LA, and it'll be 15 in New York. And we've done 125 productions, LA,
Wow.
New York, and Chicago. But most importantly, the nurturing of the artists it's so important to me, and it's still a huge part of my life.
And what are you looking for in an actor when they come through the doors of Theater 68? What are you looking for? Is there a method to that?
You know, it's funny you mention that because we have a 2-part audition process. The first part is the audition, and the second part is a conversation with me. And all it really is I want to see if you could sit at my dinner table. I don't care about your experience. I'm attracted to humility. Sometimes we get an actor who comes in and they're incredible, and I go, this guy's a pain in the ass. It's not going to work out. This is not going to work out. Or I'll get somebody who's green and they're hungry and there's something about their spirit where you go, let's give them a shot. They're going to learn here. So,
what if the person's a pain in the ass, but it's their dream, and you don't want to crush their dream, but they're still
we
a
usually
pain in the
never
ass?
get to that because there's such a pain in the ass that I just shut off.
Okay.
Like, I'm
Fuck
like,
your
I
dream.
can't deal with it. Like, I do tend to attract strays. I was one myself. So I do tend, but I'm just very attracted to humility and people who, are open-minded and want to do great things, and but are willing to be a team player. It's so important. I also teach a class every Wednesday. I don't know if you know about this, but I teach an acting class myself. It's called Stop Fucking Acting. That's the name of the class.
Ah, I like that. Stop fucking acting.
And the tagline is nobody wants to watch acting. And so I teach on Zoom, and it's been going. I have students all over the world, and it's been going. I did it as a fundraiser for the company during the pandemic, and I thought, well, let me do it for a couple of weeks, raise a few bucks for the group. I love it. I've been doing it 6 years. I can't see my life without it. Yeah.
So you have a very fulfilling lifestyle. You're busy with the theater. You're busy with Lenny. You're busy with teaching. What else? I mean, and also being a dad.
A new dad.
And a new dad. So what has fatherhood taught you that acting can never teach you?
Fatherhood has taught me that I'm not as good or as bad as I think I am in any given moment. and when I come home off the first class flight from Montreal, and I just booked the show and I did the job, and when I get home I say, "Oh, I'm happy to be home," and my wife says, "Can you take out the garbage?"
Right.
And I go, "Yeah, that's who I really am."
It's about humility. It's about keeping grounded.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, absolutely. I as I get older, Wheels, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this as someone with a beautiful daughter. As I get older, you're welcome. I realize that I used to strive to be surrounded by so many people and be the guy that they go, "Thank you, thank you." And now I realize a lot of that is empty, and I just want that from my family.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And it makes sense. I realize that when I'm flying. If I'm with my wife and daughter on a plane together and we're flying together, I can care less about anything in the world. I don't worry about it.
You want to laugh? I'm the same way.
Right? But when you're by yourself on the flight, you think of them. You're like, we got to make this flight. Oh
my God, I'm the same way. I literally will say, if they're with me, I go, "Okay, what's the worst that could happen to me now?" Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
But if they're not with me, I go, "Damn, I don't want to leave these guys behind. They still need me."
Yeah, and I think when I was I don't know about you, but when I was a single comedian in Los Angeles and I didn't have a wife and kid, I would talk to my mom every day. I was a mama's boy. My mom lived in New York. I lived in Hollywood, but still, every day. We were very close. And I lost my mom in 2001, and I realized one thing: when I lost my mom, I feared nothing anymore. I felt like, because the biggest fear in the world was for me to get that phone call, God forbid, your mom was passed away. But I didn't fear anything anymore until I got married and had a kid. Then I feared, because now that filled my void that I was, now I fear things again. So
wow, we have such a similar internal life, because when I lost my mom in '95, literally I was 24, she was 53. I mean, I threw myself on the casket. I was literally as they're lowering the casket. I couldn't feel my legs. I didn't see the point. I didn't give a shit about anything or anybody. And now it's like, it's all so precious. I wake up every day and I'm just like, where's everybody? My family means everything to me. And, look, I have adult children, the youngest one being 18. And now my son is 4.5 months old.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
I know. I did it.
You get to do it all over again.
He's something. He's something, this kid. Oh, my God.
Do you find yourself putting your phone away, like when you're hanging out at the house and your family's there, like you don't even give a fuck about the phone, like you just leave it away. You can care less about looking at it because they're all there.
Crazy. Yeah. I wish I knew then what I know now, and often I'll put the phone away or try to get through things quicker so I could get more time with them, because I still have to work, obviously, but I'm conscious of it. And look, I've seen the top of this business and I've seen the bottom of this business. And one thing that's consistent is my family's waiting for me at home.
That's the main thing. Do you feel that when you're alone by yourself, and listen, we all get into this business for reasons, ego is a big thing. We have egos. And anybody who says you don't have an ego or anybody is probably full of shit. For the most part, if you're successful in the world of acting, comedy, anything else, you have to have an ego. But when you're alone, does the ego ever come out and say, I still have something to prove? Do you still have that in you as we're still fighting for what we believe? Even if we say, oh, we're retired or we're not doing it as much, is that bullshit? Do we still want to fucking do it? Do you still want to do it?
Well, we all want to. We all want to feel. You're right. I mean, look, I have enough of an ego to have the balls to do it. You know, you got to have a little bit of an ego to have the balls to even actually get up on stage and do it. But I do think you're right. I mean, the reality is that I. It's a different kind of challenge now. It's like, 8 years ago, before I met my wife and decided that, because I was, I made a big announcement. I'm going to be single the rest of my life. I have no interest in monogamy. I'm going to be this guy who's out in the world.
Right.
And then I met my wife and she floored me. I'm like, oh, yeah, silly me. I thought I got away. And so, yeah, my ego's different now. It's like I want to provide for my family. I realize how blessed I am as an actor to be living where I live and own my home. My children are in great schools, all because I'm an actor. So my ego now is that I don't forget why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's less about me now and more about them.
Yeah, I agree.
It's less about me, more about them. I'm thinking of future. I mean, look, this is going to sound morbid, but just 2 months ago, I did my will and testament. I did my trust. I did all those things. I did all of them because once I had my baby, I was like, you know what? It's not about me anymore. I got to make sure all these kids are taken care of.
Taken care of, yeah. Yeah, I completely agree.
So yeah.
I mean, I think that the people with the biggest egos in the business are the most humbled. I'm a very humble person, and people compliment you. And I think to have humility and to be humble, you also have to have the ego, because you have to know that these people that are telling you this and feeding your ego, and when somebody says, "Oh, you're a great comedian," oh, thank you so much, but I agree with them mentally, but I'm still thanking him. If I didn't, so the ego kind of has to match.
It does. It's true, and it's a funny thing. I mean, some people put on, and you may relate to this. It's like put on a character or a persona on stage that isn't how you walk around.
Yeah, you can smell
it's like a little part of you somewhere that lives inside of you, because it all comes from truth. I mean, your comedy is so effing funny. It's so authentic and so fucking funny, man. You're the best. And so, but that's got to live somewhere in you. And
yes, it had to be created, right? Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, so it had to be created, and then. Because, I give the audience a lot of credit. I mean, if we go out there and we're a bunch of fugazis and we're just hamming it up, they're going to see right through that. It's got to be authentic.
Sure. Right.
And, but, I agree with you. It's a dance between being confident and proud of what you do and not being a total dick face,
Yeah, I agree. Well, we've all had ups and downs. And where do you feel the lowest part of your life? I mean, people sometimes don't like to talk about the lowest point in their life, but did you ever have a low point that made you think differently?
My lowest point was about 8-9 years ago. It was between my marriage with my ex, who we split, who's still literally one of my best friends.
Oh, okay, very good.
Oh, we're very, very close. And in fact, we talk every day, and we spend all our holidays together still, because we never wanted the kids to feel like they had to choose,
Sure, yeah.
But it was right after that, and before I met my wife, there was about a year there where I just was lost. And my art was incredible, by the way, but I was lost.
Right.
And so I was sacrificed. When I was on stage, people thought, oh, my God. But really, they didn't know that I was suffering. And I had to find, it was almost like a reset button. I said, 8 years ago, I said, okay, I'm coming out of intermission of my life. I'm going into the second act. And I'm resetting right now. And the second act is going to be all about honesty, authenticity, being who I've wanted to be, but kind of got stuck in some bad decisions I had made. And so it was low. And I reset. And I'm happy to say I'm living the life now that I had always dreamed about. But before that was a struggle, because funny enough, we brought it up when I was in kindergarten, getting off that, the banana boat from Brooklyn in Woodbridge, how I told you that people always had like an expectation of me. Well, I felt that way all the way up till 8 years ago. People wanted a certain thing from me, so I made sure I delivered.
Yeah.
And I was the only one who really suffered. Everybody got a lot from me, and a lot of my own doing, of course. But bad choices, bad decisions.
We make them, but we
Yeah,
always
well, I
we always
have,
bounce back.
and I feel great. I
Yeah.
bounced. I'm all the
What
way back.
What do you want people, and then what do you want people to remember Ronnie Marmo about? Like years later, 30 years from now, your name comes up somewhere. What do you want them to remember you by?
That I was, I cared about them, and that I was a big cheerleader for them. And when they got a bunch of no's, I was their yes. And that I was flawed, and but through it all, I was toughest on myself. And but that I was good to them, and that they knew that if they had one phone call, hopefully it was to me, and I came through for them. That they knew somebody was rooting for them.
Right. So that's beautiful. I mean, you really, I think I've always looked at you as an authentic person. There are people that you could smell. Listen, we're both Italian from the East Coast. We know bullshit when we see bullshit. Who the
Yeah,
fuck
we
are we
certainly
kidding?
do.
And we could smell it a mile away. And I always thought you were authentic, and I always felt that
Thanks,
you were just
Liz.
authentically you. You never really put on airs. You always were who you were. You do what you do. You're a great actor. You dig deep into the roles. And that really says a lot for who you are as a person,
Thanks, bro.
I thought this was a great interview. This is what we're going to do. After a few minutes left, I want to do the rapid fire questions. I got like 5 or 6 rapid fire questions for you.
Okay, let me put
and
my
then-
glasses on so I look smarter. All right, I'm ready.
You do. You look a lot smarter. All right. Number 1, your dream role.
I'm doing it now.
You're doing it
but
now.
It's to take this to series, Lenny Bruce to series,
Television, right?
television series
seen
for Lenny Bruce.
Wow.
Yep.
That could be an amazing thing. That really could be wild.
Yes.
Is that in the works right now?
Yes.
It is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are working on. Joe and I are working hard on that, and yeah, I think there's something there. I think this country needs that right now, and yeah.
Your greatest fear, Ronnie.
Being lonely.
Interesting. Your
And not
biggest
saying,
pet.
alone,
Okay,
not saying alone, just being lonely.
being lonely here in the heart. Like
Yeah,
just
because
being-
I've
when
been
you
in
say
rooms
lonely,
full of
you-
thousands of people. Yeah,
Right,
exactly
you can still
right.
feel
Because
lonely in
being
that
alone-
room.
Listen, I've been alone a lot of times, and I want it and appreciate it, but being lonely is a different thing.
Right. What's your biggest pet peeve that people don't know about? The pet peeve. What bothers you the most?
When people don't let you, when people talk over you and don't let you have your side of the conversation.
Oh, okay. So in a debate, you would have a. How would you feel in a debate if you had to go on this debating stage and here you are, these two people? You don't like when anybody stepping on your lines would be an issue with you.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to think that I'm open-minded enough to let them have their moment, but then hopefully in turn, they let me finish as well.
There you go. What is next for Ronnie Marmo?
Raising this baby. I'm going on a really big tour with Lenny starting September 1st. I do another show too called Bill W. and Dr. Bob. It's the origin story of AA.
Wow.
And I play Bill Wilson as well. And we're touring both shows simultaneously, September through the end of the year. I'm home a little bit, but mostly on the road, all over the world. So we're doing Lenny and Bill W. So it's a massive tour the rest of the year.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a story, Ronnie. That's the name of the show, How Not to Bomb. Everybody's got a story. In one sentence, if you had to give a story, what would be your story in one sentence?
Of how I did bomb?
No, just your story in one sentence. Your story, the Ronnie Marmo story in one sentence. You had to sell it to a producer about Ronnie Marmo.
Ronnie Marmo is, He's a kid who dropped out of school young. He really had no idea what he was going to do with his life, and he ended up living out his dreams in a very unorthodox way.
And he continues to do so every day of the week.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love the fact.
Yeah.
Wait, all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear. And we're not in. Let's hear it for Ronnie Marmo. What a great. I mean, really, it was such a great. They love you, man. They really do. They love you.
I really do, man. I'm like a huge fan. I'm always looking to see what you're doing next. I'm like sitting back with
Thank
my
you,
popcorn, watching you shine, brother. Yeah.
Thank you. So tell me where people can find you, where you want them to go to. Direct them to getting to see you and learn about you more.
On the Insta, you just go to Ronnie Marmo or go to I Am Lenny Bruce. That's the Lenny Bruce page. And also Theater 68, if you have an interest in that. And then the other one is Facebook, is all three is the same. I Am Lenny Bruce, Ronnie Marmo, Theater 68. And yeah, just kind of Google and you'll find some cool stuff. And also the acting class. If you had an interest in that, you would go through Theater 68.
And it's interesting with Theater 68 because it just came up the other day. I was talking to another comedian, Fred Rubino. Do you know Freddie Rubino?
Yes.
So me and Freddie were talking, and he said, "Yeah, you're interviewing Marmo." I said, "Yeah," and I said, he goes, "Tell him that we want to do the show at Theater 68." So him and I came up with this show called the Comedy Cosa Nostra. I own it. I'm producing it, and he's going to be one of the guys on the show. Him and I together, and he goes, "Let's do Theater 68." I'm saying, "I know nothing about how he does this. I don't know. I don't know." So we're going to contact you about that, about doing, about renting your theater, or however it works. Is that something that you would do? I mean.
Absolutely. What's funny is that my theater group lives in the Theater 68 Arts Complex. I own the complex, which is 3 theaters. I have a partner. The theater group is something I run, but the actual complex, we have a managing director, a woman named Amber, who, if you reach out to me, I'll make sure you guys are connected, and then I'll tell her who you are to me. But if you ask me today what's going on in the theater, I have no idea. I have no idea what's happening over there.
Well, we're going to try and reach out to Amber. And of course. You got. We just need to know when we need to be. We don't know about all the other stuff. Where do I need to be tonight?
Listen,
I had a great time with you, man.
Thank you, brother. I'd love you to come out to L.A. You're still in Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm living in Florida. I'm not as much in L.A. anymore. I lived in Vegas 10 years, and then I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, in Franklin, and I lived there for a year, but we decided to move back to Florida. I think Florida's our place, you know?
Are you south, or where are you in Florida?
We are in the Tampa area, Tampa Bay, Tampa.
Well, that's where my wife's family lives. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tampa.
we're out in
Clearwater.
In
I have tons of cousins in Clearwater.
Yeah, I was in Clearwater the other day. We were out there. We hang out in Clearwater. We're only about 35 minutes from Clearwater. So,
okay.
If you're ever out this way, yeah, we're gonna have dinner.
All right, Wheels, you're the best, man.
All right, man. I hope you enjoyed the interview, Ronnie. Hope it all went the way you felt. I didn't know what you probably didn't expect. You know, you probably didn't know what you were coming into with that. You know, you and I knew, but we didn't know that we were going to talk about that. We talked about it, I think.
I'm thrilled, pal. I am thrilled. And listen, this was an honor for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And everybody follow Ronnie Marmo. Don't forget the Lenny Bruce story. And he's rocking and rolling, man. We can't. This is we don't stop, Ronnie. We don't stop. We keep on going. Stop. Let's do our thing. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you being on the show. And I love you, man. We'll talk soon.
I love you back.
All right. Thank you.
See you, pal.
All right. There he is. Ronnie Marmo, everybody. Thank you so much.